Hey everyone! Welcome back. 7 clear signs. You're way more attractive than you realize. Right now, as you're watching this video, someone is thinking about you. Someone remembers the way you smiled last week. Someone wishes they had your confidence. And here's the crazy part. You have absolutely no idea. What I'm about to share with you will completely change how you see yourself. We're going to dive deep into the 7 clear, scientifically backed signs that you are way more attractive than you think you are. And I guarantee, and I mean guarantee, that by the end of this video, you'll recognize at least 3 of these signs in your own life. But here's what makes this different from every other self-confidence video you've watched. We're not talking about generic advice or feel-good fluff. These are real psychological phenomena, backed by research, that most people completely miss about themselves. I've studied human psychology, attraction science, and helped thousands of people recognize their own worth. Today, we're going on a journey that might just transform how you see yourself forever. Before we dive in, I want you to do something. In the comments right now, just type the number 7. That's it. Just the number 7. This is going to make sense later, but it's going to help you track something important about your own attractiveness that you've been completely blind to. Also, if you find value in what we're discussing today, and I know you will, smash that like button. It helps more people discover these life-changing insights, and honestly, it helps me know that this content is making a real difference in your life. Sign 1, people remember random details about you. Let me tell you about Sarah. Sarah works in accounting, considers herself pretty average, maybe a 6 out of 10 on a good day. Last month, she was shocked when her coworker mentioned that she still remembers the exact way. Sarah organized her desk on her first day, 6 months ago. "You had this tiny succulent plant," her coworker said, "and you placed it just so, and I thought, this person has such an eye for beauty." Sarah was stunned. She'd completely forgotten about that plant. But here's what Sarah didn't realize. This is a massive sign of attractiveness that she'd been missing her entire life. When people find you attractive, and I'm not just talking physical attraction, I'm talking about that magnetic, whole-person attractiveness, their brains do something fascinating. They become hyper-aware of you. Neuroscience calls this selective attention enhancement. Think about it this way. When you're attracted to someone, you notice everything about them, right? The way they laugh, how they hold their coffee, the specific words they use. Your brain is essentially saying, this person is important. Archive everything. Well, guess what? People are doing this with you. Here are the signs this is happening to you. People bring up conversations you had weeks or months ago that you barely remember. They remember what you were wearing to specific events. They quote things you said that you don't even recall saying. They remember your preferences for things you mentioned once in passing. They bring up your opinions on topics you discussed briefly. I want you to pause this video right now and think. In the last month, has anyone surprised you by remembering something specific about you? Maybe someone remembered your favorite coffee order, or brought up a story you told, or mentioned something you were wearing. If this has happened even once, congratulations. You've just discovered your first sign. But here's what's really happening beneath the surface. When people remember random details about you, it's because you've made an emotional impact on them. Attractive people, truly attractive people, don't just exist in spaces. They change the energy of those spaces. You're not just present, you're influential. Sarah from our story? She didn't realize that her attention to that tiny detail revealed something beautiful about her character. People noticed because she was worth noticing. Dr. Helen Fisher's research on attraction shows that when we're drawn to someone, our brains release dopamine, which enhances memory formation. Essentially, people's brains are getting a natural high from interacting with you, and that high is making every detail about you more memorable. This isn't coincidence. This is your attractiveness in action. If you're recognizing this sign in your own life, drop a emoji in the comments. Let's see how many of you have been underestimating your own impact on others. Sign 2. Strangers are unusually helpful to you. Marcus thought he was just lucky. Really, really lucky. The barista always seemed to make his coffee extra carefully. Store employees went out of their way to help him find things. When he was lost in a new city, Not one, not two, but three different people stopped to give him directions, without him even asking. "I guess I just have one of those faces," Marcus would say. And you know what? He was absolutely right, but not in the way he thought. Marcus has what psychologists call approachability, attractiveness. And if strangers consistently go out of their way to help you, you probably have it too. Here's what's happening. True attractiveness isn't just about looking good. It's about emanating something that makes people want to be near you, help you, connect with you. You're sending out signals that you're safe, interesting, and worth investing time in. Research from Princeton University shows that we make attractiveness judgments within 100 milliseconds of seeing someone. But here's the kicker. Those judgments aren't just about physical features. They're about trustworthiness, competence, and likability. When strangers help you more than average, your face and energy are communicating all three of these qualities simultaneously. Pay attention to these patterns in your life. The service worker phenomenon. Do baristas, waiters, store clerks seem to give you extra attention? Do they smile more, chat longer, or go slightly above and beyond in their service? This isn't just good customer service, it's a response to your attractiveness. The navigation helper. When you're lost or looking confused, do people proactively offer help? Most people walk past confused strangers. If people are stopping to help you, you're radiating something special. The information giver. Do people share more information with you than necessary? The person at the information desk, who not only answers your question, but gives you insider tips. The stranger who doesn't just give directions, but recommends their favorite restaurant nearby. I remember coaching a client named David who insisted he was just average looking. During our session, he casually mentioned that whenever he traveled, people would strike up conversations with him on planes, in hotel lobbies, at restaurants. He thought this was normal. I had to stop him right there. "David," I said, "most people travel in complete isolation. If strangers are consistently choosing to engage with you, you are radiating something magnetic." 6 months later, David messaged me. "I finally see it. I'm not just lucky. I'm actually attractive, like really attractive. How did I miss this for 30 years? When strangers help you, they're responding to unconscious cues you're sending out. Your body language, facial expressions, and energy are communicating safety and warmth. In a world where most people are guarded around strangers, you're an oasis of approachability. This is incredibly rare and incredibly attractive. For the next week, I want you to pay attention to your interactions with strangers. Keep a mental note, or better yet, write it down. Every time someone goes slightly out of their way to help you, at the end of the week, if you have more than 3 instances, you need to seriously reconsider how you see your own attractiveness. Drop in the comments if you're now realizing that people help you more than you thought was normal. I have a feeling this comment section is going to be full of people having major realizations right now. Sign 3. People seek your opinion and value your input. What do you think about this? Which one should I choose? What's your opinion on... If these phrases sound familiar, if people are constantly asking for your input on everything from major life decisions to what to wear, you might be thinking, well, people just see me as helpful. But what if I told you this is actually one of the strongest indicators of attractiveness that exists? And most people who experience this have no idea what it really means. Let me introduce you to the concept of opinion attractiveness. This is when people don't just want to be around you, they want to think like you. They value your perspective so much that they actively seek it out. Think about it. There are probably dozens of people in your life who could give advice or opinions. Your family, friends, co-workers. But if people are consistently coming to you, there's something special happening. Here's what research tells us. People seek opinions from individuals they perceive as having 3 key qualities. 1, competence. They believe you make good decisions. 2, trustworthiness. They believe you have their best interests at heart. 3, attractiveness. Yes, attractiveness. People literally trust the judgment of attractive people more. This is called the halo effect, and it's incredibly powerful. When people find you attractive, again, this is whole person attractiveness, not just physical. They automatically assume you're better at everything. including giving advice. Here are the specific ways this shows up. The style consultant. People ask your opinion on their outfits, their haircuts, their home decor. They're essentially saying, you have good taste, and I want to have good taste like you. The life coach. Friends and family come to you for advice about relationships, career decisions, personal problems. They trust your judgment with their most important decisions. The trendsetter. People ask what you think about new restaurants, movies, books, experiences. They use your opinions to guide their own choices. The validator. People seek your approval or opinion before making purchases, trying new things or making changes in their lives. But here's where it gets really interesting. People don't just seek opinions from anyone. They seek opinions from people who seem confident and self-assured. And confidence? That's incredibly attractive. If people are regularly asking for your input, it's because you're unconsciously projecting confidence and good judgment. You might not feel confident internally, but externally, you're radiating it. I worked with a woman named Jennifer who was convinced she was the friend everyone tolerates. She had struggled with self-esteem her entire life. But during our conversation, she mentioned that people were constantly asking her opinion about everything. My sister calls me before every date to ask what she should wear. My coworkers ask me which restaurant we should choose for lunch. My neighbor asked me what I thought about her landscaping choices. I said, Jennifer, you just described someone whose opinion is incredibly valued. That doesn't happen to people who are just tolerated. That happens to people who are seen as having excellent judgment and taste. The light bulb moment was immediate. She realized that her friends didn't keep her around out of pity. They kept her around because she added genuine value to their lives. When people consistently seek your opinion, you have influence. And influence is one of the most attractive qualities a person can have. It means people see you as someone worth listening to, someone whose perspective matters. This is huge. Most people go through life feeling like their opinions don't matter, like they don't have much influence. If people are seeking your input, you have something most people desperately want. Think about the last 2 weeks. How many times has someone asked for your opinion about something? I'm talking about genuine requests for your input. Not just casual, what do you think? Questions. If it's more than 5 times in 2 weeks, you need to seriously reconsider how much influence and attractiveness you actually have. Comment below with if people ask your opinion more often than you realize before watching this video. I bet we're going to see a lot of people recognizing this pattern for the first time. Sign 4. You make people laugh without trying. Here's a question that's going to reveal something huge about your attractiveness. Do people laugh at things you say that aren't even meant to be funny? I'm not talking about when you tell a joke and people laugh. I'm talking about when you make a casual observation or share a random thought and people find it genuinely amusing. When you're just being yourself, and somehow that's inherently entertaining to others. If this happens to you regularly, congratulations. You possess one of the rarest and most attractive qualities a person can have. Meet Alex. Alex always thought he was kind of awkward and not particularly funny. He'd never been the class clown, never tried to be the center of attention. But everywhere Alex went, people seemed to enjoy his company. They'd laugh at his random comments, smile at his observations, and somehow he always seemed to lighten the mood in any room. Alex assumed this was just coincidence. Maybe people were being polite. Maybe he was reading the situation wrong. What Alex didn't realize is that he had natural charm, one of the most attractive qualities a person can possess. Research from Stanford University shows that people who can make others laugh without trying are perceived as more intelligent, more attractive, and more desirable as both friends and romantic partners. But here's the key distinction. We're not talking about people who try hard to be funny. We're talking about people who are naturally amusing just by being themselves. This is called effortless humor. and it's incredibly rare and incredibly attractive. When people find you attractive, they're already in a positive emotional state around you. They're more receptive to finding things amusing. Your natural personality, observations, and way of seeing the world become inherently entertaining to them. Think about it. When you're attracted to someone, don't their random comments seem more interesting and funny than they probably actually are? Well, people are experiencing this with you. Here's how to know if you have this attractive quality. The casual comment phenomenon. You make an offhand observation about something, and multiple people find it amusing. You weren't trying to be funny, but somehow your perspective is naturally entertaining. The mood lifter. People seem happier and more relaxed when you're around. Conversations become more playful and lighthearted when you participate. The quotable person. People repeat things you've said to other people. Your random comments become inside jokes or memorable quotes in your friend group. The natural entertainer. Even in serious or mundane situations, you somehow find ways to make things more enjoyable without trying hard or being inappropriate. I once worked with a client named Maria who was convinced she was boring and had no personality. During our session, she made 3 observations about things she'd noticed that week that had me genuinely laughing out loud. "Maria," I said, "you just made me laugh 3 times in 10 minutes with casual observations." "That's not boring. That's naturally charming." She was shocked. "But I'm not trying to be funny." "Exactly," I told her. "That's what makes it so attractive. Effortless charm is incredibly rare and incredibly appealing. People who make others laugh without trying have a unique way of seeing the world. They notice things others miss. They make connections that are unexpected. They bring a lightness and perspective that others find refreshing. This isn't about being a comedian. This is about having a naturally engaging personality that draws people in and makes them feel good. Laughter creates connection. When people laugh with you, they're bonding with you. Every time you naturally amuse someone, you're creating a positive association in their mind between you and feeling good. Over time, this creates a powerful attraction. People want to be around others who make them feel happy and entertained. If you're doing this naturally, without effort, you're incredibly attractive to be around. Often, people who have this quality don't recognize it because they're not trying to be funny, so they don't give themselves credit for it. But natural humor requires confidence, perspective, and authenticity, all highly attractive qualities. If people laugh at your casual comments, it means you're comfortable being yourself around others. That authenticity is magnetic. For the next few days, pay attention to how people respond to your casual comments and observations. Notice if people smile, chuckle, or seem amused by things you say that aren't intended as jokes. Keep a mental count. If this happens more than twice in a few days, you have natural charm that you've been completely undervaluing. Drop it in the comments if you're now realizing that people find you funnier than you thought you were. And if you have a specific example of when this happened recently, share it. I love reading about these moments of realization. Sign 5. People remember you long after brief encounters. 3 years ago, you had a brief conversation with someone at a coffee shop. Maybe you helped them pick up dropped papers, or you both laughed about the long line. The interaction lasted maybe 5 minutes, and you completely forgot about it. But they didn't forget about you. In fact, they still think about that interaction sometimes. They've told other people about this really nice person they met that day. If this sounds impossible or unlikely, then you're about to discover something profound about your own attractiveness that you've been missing your entire life. Some people are forgettable. They blend into the background of daily life. But others, the truly attractive ones, leave lasting impressions even in the briefest encounters. If you're one of these people, you probably have no idea, because by definition, you don't know about the impact you have on people after you've left their presence. Neuroscientist Dr. Antonio Damasio's research shows that people remember encounters that create emotional resonance. When someone finds you attractive, not just physically, but energetically, their brain codes the memory differently. You become what psychologists call a flashbulb memory. The kind of encounter people can recall in vivid detail months or years later. Here's how you can identify if you have this incredibly attractive quality. The social media surprise. Someone adds you on social media from a brief encounter. Maybe you met at a party for 10 minutes or stood in line together somewhere. They remembered your name and sought you out. The random recognition. Months later, someone approaches you and says, "We met at," and they remember specific details about your conversation that you've completely forgotten. The reference phenomenon. People mention you to others after brief encounters. "I met this really interesting person today." Someone becomes a story they tell. The repeat seeker. People you've met briefly make an effort to run into you again. They start showing up at places where they know you might be. I want to tell you about my client, Rachel. Rachel was convinced she was completely forgettable. She described herself as wallpaper there, but nobody really notices. During our coaching session, she mentioned that people were always recognizing her from brief encounters. "It's so awkward," she said. "I'll be at the grocery store, and someone will come up to me and say, 'We met at some event months ago,' and I have no memory of it." I stopped her right there. "Rachel, do you realize what you just described? You are so memorable that people recognize you and remember your conversations from months ago. That is the opposite of forgettable." Her entire perspective shifted in that moment. She realized that what she thought was awkward was actually evidence of how much impact she had on people. People who leave lasting impressions have several key qualities. Genuine interest. You ask real questions and listen to the answers. Even in brief encounters, people feel heard and seen by you. Authentic energy. You're not performing or trying to impress anyone. You're just genuinely yourself, and that authenticity is magnetic and memorable. Positive presence. Something about your energy makes people feel good. They associate the encounter with positive emotions. Unique perspective. You say things or see things in ways that are slightly different from most people. Your perspective sticks with people. When people remember you from brief encounters, it means you have presence. Real presence. In a world where most people are distracted, going through the motions and not fully engaged, you stand out as someone who is genuinely there. This is incredibly attractive because it's incredibly rare. Here's something mind-blowing to consider. Right now, there are people you've met briefly who think about you positively. Your brief interaction changed their day, maybe even their week. You were a bright spot in their routine. You have no idea about most of these impacts because they happen after you leave, but they're happening. Think about the last 6 months. Has anyone approached you and mentioned meeting you somewhere that you barely remember? Has anyone added you on social media from a brief encounter? Has anyone brought up a conversation you had that you'd forgotten about? If any of these things have happened even once, you are more memorable and attractive than you realize. Often people who have this quality don't recognize it because they assume everyone is as memorable as they are. But that's not true. Most encounters are forgettable. If people are remembering you, you're special. I want you to think of one time in the last year when someone recognized you from a brief previous encounter. Drop A in the comments if this has happened to you. And here's what I predict. A lot of you are going to realize this happens to you more often than you thought. Sign 6. People open up to you quickly. You're in line at the store, having a casual conversation with a stranger. Within minutes, they're telling you about their relationship problems. Or you're at a work meeting, and a colleague you barely know starts sharing personal details about their life. You might think, I guess I'm just easy to talk to. But what you don't realize is that you possess one of the rarest and most attractive qualities a human being can have. The ability to make people feel safe enough to be vulnerable. And if this happens to you regularly, you are way more attractive than you think you are. Some people go through life and others remain guarded around them. Surface-level conversations, polite interactions, professional relationships that never deepen. But then there are people, the truly attractive ones, who have this almost magical ability to make others feel safe enough to open up quickly. If you're one of these people, you probably think it's normal. It's not. It's extraordinary. Dr. Brené Brown's research on vulnerability shows that people only open up to others when they feel three things. Safety. They don't feel judged. Understanding. They feel heard and seen. Connection. They sense genuine interest and empathy. If people are opening up to you quickly, it means you're naturally communicating all three of these qualities. That is incredibly attractive. Here are the specific ways this shows up in your life. The confession phenomenon. Strangers or acquaintances tell you personal things within minutes of meeting you. They share problems, fears, dreams, or secrets that they don't typically share with others. The advice seeker. People come to you not just for your opinion, but for emotional support. They want to process their feelings with you because they trust your response. The deep conversation magnet. Your casual conversations somehow become meaningful quickly. A simple "how are you?" turns into a genuine discussion about life, goals, challenges, or feelings. The safe space creator. People seem more relaxed and authentic around you. They drop their social masks and show you who they really are underneath. Let me tell you about my client James. James thought he was socially awkward and not particularly good with people. But during our conversation, he mentioned something that stopped me in my tracks. "It's weird," he said, "but people are always telling me really personal stuff. Like, people I barely know will start talking about their divorces, or their family problems, or their career anxieties. I don't know why they think I want to hear all this." I said, "James, do you realize what you just described? You have created such a safe, non-judgmental presence that people feel comfortable being vulnerable with you. That is an incredibly rare and attractive quality." He was stunned. He'd been seeing his greatest strength as an annoyance. When people open up to you quickly, they're responding to unconscious cues you're sending out. Your body language, tone of voice, facial expressions, and energy are all communicating safety and acceptance. This happens because you have high emotional intelligence and genuine empathy. You're not trying to fix people or judge them. You're just genuinely interested in understanding them. In a world where most people feel misunderstood, isolated, and judged, you represent something incredibly rare: genuine acceptance and understanding. People are starving for authentic connection. If you're someone who provides that naturally, you are incredibly attractive to be around. Trust is the foundation of all meaningful relationships. If people trust you quickly, it means you're emanating trustworthiness, one of the most attractive qualities a person can have. This goes far beyond physical attraction. This is about being attractive as a human being. Now, if you recognize this quality in yourself, you might sometimes feel overwhelmed by how much people share with you. You might think, "Why do I always become everyone's therapist?" But here's a reframe. People don't share with just anyone. They share with people they respect, trust, and feel connected to. That's you. Every time someone opens up to you, you're providing something incredibly valuable. The experience of being truly heard and accepted. You're making people feel less alone in the world. That is a profound gift, and it's incredibly attractive. Think about your recent interactions. How often do people share personal information with you? Do conversations tend to go deeper than surface level? Do people seem to trust you with their emotions and vulnerabilities? If this happens regularly, you possess one of the most attractive qualities a human being can have. Often, people who have this quality don't value it because it feels natural to them. But genuine empathy and the ability to create safe spaces is incredibly rare. If people open up to you, it's because something about your presence communicates wisdom, acceptance, and emotional maturity. Those are incredibly attractive qualities. Drop A in the comments if people tend to open up to you more than you think is normal. And if you want to share a recent example without violating anyone's privacy, I'd love to hear about these moments of connection. Sign 7. You receive compliments on things you don't think are special. Here's the final sign, and it might be the most revealing of all. People regularly compliment you on things that you consider completely ordinary about yourself. Maybe someone compliments your voice and you think, everyone has a voice. Maybe they compliment your style and you think, I just threw on whatever was clean. Maybe they compliment your energy and you think, I'm just being normal. If this resonates with you, you're about to discover something that will completely change how you see yourself. The things that make us most attractive are often the things we can't see about ourselves. They're so natural to us, so much a part of who we are, that we assume everyone has them. But they don't. What feels ordinary to you is actually extraordinary to others. Here are the types of compliments that reveal hidden attractiveness. Voice and communication. People compliment your voice, your laugh, the way you explain things, or how you tell stories. You think everyone can communicate, but not everyone can communicate in a way that's pleasant to listen to. Energy and presence. People say you have good energy, that you're fun to be around, or that you light up a room. You think you're just being yourself. But your natural self is magnetic. Style and taste. People compliment your outfit choices, your home decor, your music taste, or your general aesthetic. You think you just choose things you like, but your taste is actually exceptional. Personality traits. People compliment your kindness, your sense of humor, your intelligence, or your perspective on things. You think these are just normal human qualities, but the way you embody them is special. When we receive compliments on things we don't think are special, we often dismiss them. We think people are just being polite, or they don't know what they're talking about. But here's the truth. People don't compliment things unless they genuinely notice something positive. If multiple people are complimenting the same things about you, those things are genuinely attractive qualities. I worked with a client named Lisa who constantly received compliments on her voice. People would tell her she should be on the radio or that she had a beautiful speaking voice. Her response was always, "That's weird, I just sound like me." During our session, I said, "Lisa, when multiple people compliment the same thing about you, that's not coincidence. That's evidence. Your voice is genuinely attractive and pleasant to listen to." She started paying attention to this pattern and realized that her voice was actually one of her most attractive qualities, something she'd been completely blind to her entire life. The things that feel most natural to you are often your greatest strengths. You can't see them because they don't require effort from you, but to others they're remarkable. This is why external feedback is so important for understanding our own attractiveness. We literally cannot see ourselves the way others see us. Instead of dismissing compliments, try this reframe. When someone compliments something about you that feels ordinary, consider that it might be extraordinary and you just can't see it. Start collecting these compliments instead of deflecting them. They're data about your attractiveness that you've been ignoring. If you consistently receive compliments on the same things, those are your attractive qualities. Period. It doesn't matter if they don't feel special. To you, they're special to others, which means they're genuinely attractive. Think about the compliments you've received in the last few months. What things do people consistently praise about you that you don't think are particularly special? Those things? They're actually evidence of your attractiveness that you've been dismissing. So there you have it, the 7 clear signs that you are way more attractive than you realize. People remember random details about you. Strangers are unusually helpful to you. People seek your opinion and value your input. You make people laugh without trying. People remember you long after brief encounters. People open up to you quickly. You receive compliments on things you don't think are special. Now, I want you to be honest with yourself. How many of these signs do you recognize in your own life? If it's even just 2 or 3, you need to seriously reconsider how you see your own attractiveness. Remember at the beginning when I asked you to comment the number 7? Here's why. I wanted you to have a record of where you were mentally when you started this video versus where you are now. Because something has shifted, hasn't it? You're starting to see yourself differently. You're recognizing patterns in your life that you've been blind to. You're realizing that maybe, just maybe, you've been underestimating your own attractiveness this entire time. This realization doesn't just change how you see yourself. It changes everything. When you recognize your own attractiveness, you carry yourself differently. You speak up more in conversations. You take up space. You stop apologizing for existing. And here's the beautiful irony. The more you recognize and own your attractiveness, the more attractive you become. Confidence in your own worth is magnetic. For the next week, I want you to do something revolutionary. Start paying attention to these signs in your daily life. Keep a note in your phone, and every time one of these things happens, someone remembers a detail about you. A stranger helps you, someone asks your opinion. Write it down. At the end of the week, look at that list. I guarantee you'll be shocked. by how much evidence of your attractiveness you discover when you're actually looking for it. Here's what I want you to understand. You didn't become attractive by watching this video. You were always attractive. You just finally have the tools to see it. All those signs we talked about, they've been happening your entire life. You just dismissed them, explained them away, or assumed they were normal. But they're not normal. They're evidence that you are special, valuable, and attractive in ways you never fully appreciated. If this video has opened your eyes to your own attractiveness, do 3 things. First, smash that like button if you haven't already. This video took weeks to research and create, and your like tells YouTube to share it with other people who need to hear this message. Second, subscribe and hit that notification bell. We're building a community of people who are learning to see their own worth, and I want you to be part of that journey. Third, and most importantly, start treating yourself like the attractive person you now realize you are. Stop hiding. Stop shrinking. Stop apologizing for taking up space in the world. In the comments, I want you to share which sign resonated with you most. And if you're feeling brave, share a specific example from your own life. Let's celebrate each other's attractiveness and create a space where people can finally see their own worth. Also, if you know someone who needs to hear this message, someone who doesn't see their own attractiveness, share this video with them. Sometimes we need other people to help us see what we can't see ourselves. Remember, you are not just attractive, you are irreplaceably attractive. There is no one else in the world who has your specific combination of qualities, energy, and presence. The world needs what you have to offer. Stop hiding it. Start owning it. Thank you for spending the last hour with me on this journey of discovery. I'll see you in the next video, where we'll continue